Can you guys hear? No? Testing, testing, testing. All right, can you guys hear me now? Just making sure. I'll get this figured out eventually. All right, cool. I'm glad you got your comments fixed, Nick. Everybody's rolling in. Good morning, Shez, Nick, Neil, Well-Wisher. What's going on? All right, so Mad Moxie, if you guys were in Discord, I did kind of post my thoughts. Obviously, in a downtrend, I do feel like there's a lot of room left to go lower. But I do feel like we could get a little bit of a bounce. So this high volume area that we're kind of chopping around in right now is something that I had marked off from yesterday, actually. And we're kind of stuck in here. So this gray shaded area is where we're at, and we are holding it. So we broke below it, we reclaimed it, and we've kind of been chopping there. So my thought is we could possibly get a bounce, but I'm not going to be sold on longs until we break above this like 480 to 500 level, which is actually the Asia high, so the high of the day. So if we like break above this level and we reclaim it and hold it, we could possibly see longs. But I would only take a long if we reclaim this Asia high. And then on the higher time frame, we actually have a lot of room to the upside at this 640 level, which is value area high from yesterday. And you can kind of see that on the 4 hour. There's a pretty big fair value gap right there. So that's one scenario if the longs play out, but we would have to reclaim that 500 level that I'm talking about. But right now, this might just be a bounce. And then shorts are going to continue. So we could reject this point of control level at like 450-ish, or we could even grab this Asia high liquidity and then reject. So kind of just watching for a possible short entry until proven otherwise, really. Those are my thoughts on the day. But we have, like I said, we've been holding this high volume area. There's quite a bit of support here. We have reclaimed VWAP. We're sitting above VWAP, but we're also below a lot of this resistance. We kind of created this high volume node over here, and we're sitting below that. So gonna be patient this morning, see what we get. Tell me your thoughts in the chat, you guys. What are you thinking today? You thinking we're gonna get a little bit of a bounce today after yesterday's dump? Or is there more downside in store? Tell me what your thoughts are. Definitely in an interesting spot right where we're at right now. Like stuck beneath this resistance at like 420-ish, but holding above VWAP. Kind of looks like it wants to hold and bounce from here. Looks like it's a little bit of a consolidation and might be ready to bounce a little bit, but again, I'm not thinking that it's just going to go to the moon until it proves otherwise, you know. Let's see if it holds VWAP and get a little bounce here. We'll find out though. Yeah, Nick, that's kind of my thought. Like anything below this key level to hold. Yeah, I mean this is the value area low from overnight is 376. And that's actually the bottom of the high volume node that I got on like the 4-hour chart. So it's interesting that those levels are lining up. The high volume area that I have from like 370-ish to 418-ish is also the range that we've been in overnight. That's the value area high to value area low range from last night too. So we might honestly range today and wait, have everyone wait until FOMC minutes come out, which is later today, right? Let me take a look at news. Yeah, that comes out at 2 o'clock Eastern today. So that is a possibility too, you guys. We might just kind of range and be choppy today. Might be a see profit, take profit kind of day. Shaw, 4-hour looks like a short. Yep. Definitely leaning towards shorts until proven otherwise. My thought is just that if we do break above this 500-ish level and like reclaim it, I'm not talking about just a pump above and then it closes back below. I mean like reclaim it. Then we have this whole fair value gap, so it could come back up to that 640 level. But yeah, overall, so far, shorts are the play. Looking pretty weak. It's also like barely sitting above VWAP. It's below yesterday's point of control. I mean, there's lots of reasons to be bearish on it so far. We'll see how the market opens though. Like I said, we have been holding VWAP. We're now getting a little bit of a pump up above the overnight point of control. We could get a little bit of a pullback and grab some liquidity before continuing lower if that's what's going to happen today. We do have crude oil this morning too, yeah, and about an hour after the open. That doesn't normally have a huge impact on NQ. Normally, I mean, things could change, obviously. It's good to be aware of, for sure. But it's not like PMI or, something that we need to be like, don't take a trade during this time. All right, market's opening in 1 minute. Let's see what we get. Did any of you guys take any trades earlier this morning or last night? Nick, I'll have to look into that. I'll play around with the settings for the next one. All right, market's open. It's rejecting that overnight value area high and woo, coming down hot. Let me put my VWAP back on here. Alrighty. Continuing the downtrend. Man. They weren't playing today. Woo-wee. All right, let's see how this first 5-minute candle closes just to get confirmation that it's going to be bearish. And then maybe we can look for a little pullback to enter short. That was a lot of volume to the downside so far though. But it's still chopping in this high volume range. Kind of hasn't really decided either way for me yet. Coming down to that London low. See if it grabs that liquidity and bounces. Get a little pullback. Three minutes into the open so far. Curious to see how this first 5-minute candle closes. Obviously looking very bearish so far. But we can get confirmation on the first 5-minute candle closure. And then if we're looking for shorts, we can wait for a pullback. Good little liquidity grab on that London low. Yeah, with the way it grabbed that liquidity and it's bouncing, we'll see. Two stabs at the open, no follow through. Yeah, I could see this. I mean, it could go either way. I'll wait and see how this 5 minute candle closes because that was a pretty big bounce off that London low. All right, now that the 5 minute looks obviously bearish, let's see if we can get a pullback maybe to VWAP and then enter short from there. Don't want to chase it. It's definitely holding that London low. Still stuck in that range that I have drawn up. It's a big support area in the higher time frame. Nick waiting on the 15 minute close. Yeah, that's smart. It's good to be patient anyway. And then honestly, I just haven't seen any like trades that I would want to take. Like obviously that was a good downtrend move, but it happened fast. So would have felt like I was chasing it and it would have been a gamble. So definitely didn't want to enter there. And now we're not getting a great pullback yet. But we're also holding a good level. So I wouldn't want to like immediately take a short. Just gonna wait till it gets out of this range and proves to us where it's going. Good morning, Paul. Rain, hello, first time here. Good morning, welcome. Where are you from? Alrighty, so got a little bounce off of that London low. Kind of looking like it wants more downside. Still choppy though. Still undecided. Didn't quite come back to VWAP, which was the pullback I would have wanted. But definitely not getting a good like liquidity grab bounce that I would expect either. Oh, cool. Tuning in from Dubai. Welcome. So I guess it's not good morning to you. It's more like good afternoon, good evening, huh? The 1 minute ATR is 27 points. Holy cow. That's a lot. Definitely an interesting spot here. Looks like it wants to come down to that Asia low. Kind of looked like it had a little bounce at London, but now it's continuing down. Would have wanted to take a short on the pullback, but it didn't quite come up to where I would have wanted. My reasoning is I always look at risk to reward. So if I entered here on that pullback, the stop loss would have had to been way up at that 15-minute range high, and that's too much for me, especially if I was targeting the Asia low. That's a barely over a 1-to-1 risk to reward. So I was hoping for a little bit more of a pullback, and then I would have entered short. So possibly a missed opportunity for me, but that is okay. Let's see how it reacts at this Asia low and see if this is just going to dump all the way down to further levels that we have, or if it's actually going to grab this liquidity and bounce. We do have the 15-minute opening range set here in about 4 minutes too. Start turning on some of my anchored VWAPs. All right, coming down to Asia low. Didn't quite grab it all the way. So could still continue down. It's definitely not looking like it's wanting to bounce anytime soon, you guys. Kind of looks like the downtrend wants to continue. So far, this is our 15-minute opening range high. So there could possibly be an opportunity to take a little scalp long if it grabs this Asia liquidity and then bounces. But I would really only maybe take it up to like VWAP or something. But it didn't even fully grab that Asia liquidity. Yep, it's rejecting that anchored VWAP spot. Coming back down for that Asia low. See if it grabs it and we bounce, or if this thing just continues dumping. All right, it's grabbing it now. Kind of looks like it wants to continue down. I wish it would have given us a little bit of a better pullback. I would love to be in this thing short. And kind of had to have just been in it on that opening candle. Otherwise, there haven't really been a whole lot of opportunities. This 1 minute candle right there, that was a decent pullback. I just didn't love the risk to reward. My stop loss would have had to have been like 40 points. So at this point, just gonna be patient, wait for it to come back, get a little retracement so we can ride this thing short. Crazy price action these last couple days, you guys. It's down, down, down. So looking at further levels, I mean, obviously 23K is a really big one. Could potentially come down here to 23K, but there's a decent high volume area kind of where we're coming to right now. Zooming out, you can see there's quite a bit of support or a chop in this area. 23K is the big level though. My goodness. It's continuing to dump. Yeah, hopefully patience will pay. Yeah, Nick, if it gave us more of a pullback, definitely would have entered that. That's what I was watching for. You said pull back to like 390-ish. That's what I was hoping for. Hopefully patience will pay, right? Kind of looks like patience missed the boat today. Oh no, Rain. You were in a short and you closed it before the open. That's a tough spot to be in. A lot of times I'll find a good position before the open. And if I can move my stop loss to break even or like slightly in profit, then I'll keep it. But yeah, I totally get it. When you're in the open, like moving to the open, you never know. It could just bounce crazy in some weird direction before actually following through to where it's going to go. So yeah, that's a hard position to be in. Maverick, that's how I feel. The minute you join short, it's just gonna bounce. That's why I'm not chasing this thing. Cause yeah, that's what happens to me. We'll find a pullback. Okay. Where is our 15-minute low. 15-minute low is way up here. So possibly could pull back to there. What I would like better, if we're going to get a pullback for entry, is retrace to the New York anchored VWAP and then hop on board. That's what I would like for a short potential. But at this point, doesn't look like we're going to get a pullback. Oh my gosh, you guys. I've been like trying my best to stay on the 5-minute chart because it helps me a lot with not getting chopped up. And overall, it's helped my trading a lot, so I'm not complaining. But dang, on a day like today, if you're on the 5-minute chart, you just miss all of it. Let's see what we get. So this high volume node that I was telling you about that might cause some problems and might have some support areas. Nope. Not yet. Min, I did not. Unfortunately. And now I'm not going to chase it. But what I was doing, I was zoomed out on the 5-minute chart. That's what I was telling everyone. If I watched the 1-minute, that would have been a great pullback. But I was on the 5-minute. I was waiting for it to pull back to, I'll show you on the 5-minute. I was waiting for it to pull back to VWAP. It didn't quite pull back to where I was hoping. The reason I didn't enter is if I got in there, I would have put my stop loss back at the range high. That was a 40-point stop loss. I wasn't comfortable with that with all the volatility. I kind of felt like I was going to be chasing it. So I didn't. I'm okay with it though. Like, I've gotten burned so many times in the past chasing a short like that when there's high volatility and then it goes the other way. So I would rather like practice my patience and stick with my plan and feel good about that than chasing it. I was leaning towards shorts today for sure, but I also thought that it could have bounced back up to this like London high point of control area at like 450 to 460. So that's another reason I didn't want to chase the short, is I thought maybe it would grab that London liquidity, which is where it bounced, and come back up to this London high point of control area before going down. So that's why I didn't chase the short. In hindsight, I'm bummed out because I missed it, but it's all right. I followed my plan. I'm happy with it. But yeah, so much for this being a high volume area that's going to provide support, you guys. It's just cutting right through it. Might as well delete that. It's coming straight for 23K. There is nothing stopping this train. My goodness. Yeah. Can you guys hear that? Someone's mowing my lawn right now. Sorry. And there ain't no mic that's gonna block out that kind of background noise. Dang. All right, let's see. So far, here's the opening candle. Up here, we have a 250 point move in like 25 minutes. Dang. Oh, MES did grab the London highs before moving down. Interesting. All right, so it's kind of at the bottom of this shaded high volume area that I marked off. Let's see if it does give us a little bit of a pullback. It's the first time we're seeing green all morning. And the green is gone. One minute ATR is at 45 points now. Yeah, definitely size down, you guys. This is moving. Maverick, it has to be exhausted, right? Be careful with that. When a trend gets moving, you don't want to be trying to catch a falling knife and like think that you found the bottom and take a long. I did that a couple times yesterday, stupidly, and paid for it. Two minutes left until this 5-minute candle closes, but it is kind of stuck at this area, at least a little bit. Not wanting to long anything right now, but hopefully find some sort of pullback and then possibly enter a short. We could come back. So if this high volume area that I marked off is a decent level, if it comes back to the top of it, that's right where the New York anchored VWAP is. A little bit higher would be that 15-minute opening range low. So if we get a pullback to this general area, possibly a short entry. That 5-minute candle is not closing very bullish though. Come on, give us a pullback opportunity. Victoria, you missed the move. That's all right. I did too. Don't jump in on FOMO though, if that's what you're considering. There's always another opportunity. That's what I like to remind myself of. So there was decent volume on this last candle on that bounce. So it looks like it might hold here. I'm not longing though, so don't get that idea. More looking for a possible pullback to take a short off of. At this point though, with it being 30 minutes from the initial balance being set, might be a better idea to wait for that. Unless we get a really good rejection off of this 15-minute opening range low area. Somewhere in this vicinity, somewhere here, between anchored VWAP and opening range low. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button. I appreciate it. It helps me a lot with growing my little baby YouTube channel. Kind of new to all of this. Started doing these live streams, maybe a month or so ago. And then I had quite a few people ask about if I was going to start a Discord. So I did. And it's going well so far. So I did put that link in the chat if you guys would like to hop in. We're happy to have you. I've been starting to share my trades that I'm taking outside of the stream because I'm not going to be here all day while I'm trading. Sometimes I'll take trades in the afternoon and won't be on a stream. So happy to share those with you guys. And then as of this morning, I've done it a couple times in the past, but this morning I shared kind of my thoughts on my trading plan. So I want to start kind of sharing that too. And you guys are welcome to share yours as well. Like if you have levels marked up or if your thoughts on like bearish, bullish, trade ideas. Just kind of want to create a free space where everyone can learn and grow together. All right, getting that bounce. David, I just read your comment. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. David caught the market low last night because a neighbor was cooking at 1 a.m. and set off a grease fire, so we had fire trucks here till 2 a.m. Nice. And you pulled open the charts and there was a good level and you caught along. Love it. And now hopefully you're done with your trading for the day. Accounts are locked out, and if you have an opportunity, you can go take a nap, yeah? Oh man. It's looking like it wants to bounce, but there's no continuation behind this thing. There's definitely some resistance. Don't pull back here. Come on. Go higher. Give us an opportunity to enter this thing. Well, I'm not going to chase this thing. Kind of like I think it was Maverick who was saying it earlier. As soon as I enter long or as soon as I enter short, like either way, it's going to go the opposite direction. Definitely don't want to long it and try to catch a falling knife. But wouldn't have wanted to enter short from there because that was barely a pullback. Let's see if this thing gets all the way down to 23K. Still on another 130 points to go. But with how much this thing has been moving, I wouldn't be surprised. Wow. This is intense, you guys. This is one of those days that if you have a personal account or like one of those accounts that doesn't have a consistency rule and you got in short from the open and you just left a runner, this is one of those days you can make a lot of money. Oh man. It's totally ignoring my little red dot. I wanted you to come back to my red dot. Come on. Paying no attention to what I want. How rude. Is it just liquidity to confirm the bounce? What do you mean, Maverick? Nick says, you guess you better not take a trade. Well, I'm not taking a trade right now. But there could always be another opportunity. We do have the initial balance being set in about 20 minutes. So that is a good time to look for trades. Also, it's coming down to a huge level at 23K. I'm definitely not one to try to long the bottom. Like, I'm not going to catch a falling knife because this thing is intense to the downside. But if it starts to establish a base, I'm talking about like several 5-minute candles, like spends lots of time establishing a foundation and then starts to move up, we could potentially take a long off of this area. Like if it spends time there, I don't want to mislead you guys and think that like the first 2-minute bounce, I'm taking a long. That's not my intention, but that's a big key level. And I'll probably eat my words if I say this out loud, but Like at some point, there's got to be a little pullback. Uh-oh, teach him to stay safe. He just started a grease fire. That's no good. Those things are scary. Oh, I see, Nick. Yeah, if you need to leave in the next 30 minutes, you might not find something before then. Oh gosh. You got me. I was like, man, you probably shouldn't be typing in the chat that you just started a fire. Maybe you should go deal with that right now. All right, now that we're like 40 minutes into the open, let's see what our session volume profile is looking like so far. There it is. How low can you go? We did hold this at the bottom of that high volume node for a little bit. There was a couple minutes there. It tried to hold. Sellers are too strong right now. More downside coming. That 23K is looking more and more like it wants to be here. There are no signs of a bounce yet. Min, are you still in the chat? Are you still here? Min was the one who was talking about like if we break below, I think he said 23,300 or something like that, then 23K is coming soon. I didn't know if he meant it would happen today. Jeez. Yeah, that's a good point, David. If it hits that like down limit beyond 2% or whatever your prop firm rules are, where you can't trade anymore. Hopefully not. So right now, point of control is sitting around 23,185. And then we have the New York anchored VWAP at 23,244. My red dot's getting further and further away. Seems a whole lot less likely that we'll pull back all the way to there now. "15 minutes until that initial balance is set." This is quite a range, you guys. If we can ever find an entry, there's lots of opportunity to make money today. Just so much volatility. Kind of starting to find a little bit of a base maybe, but it also did that up here at 23,180. Looking at the higher time frame, and there's so much room down. 23.45 is the next like wick. Still not seeing any signs of a pullback yet. All down. Goodness. Let's throw on that volume profile. Zoom out a little bit. We're coming into lots of support down here. This whole area. That's smart, Nick. Especially since you need to go to work soon. Min, yeah, I'm not looking for a V recovery. I'm not trying to long this thing. I was waiting for a pullback to enter short and it hasn't given us any opportunities. Originally, when we're, closer down here at like 23,200, something like that, I was saying that a pullback up here would be a good move because that was actually where the anchored VWAP was at that point and kind of in the 15-minute opening range, low range. But now that we're way down here, it's not likely that that's where it's going to pull back. But don't want to be chasing this. I would want a little bit better of a pullback. So when I zoomed out to that higher time frame, hopefully you guys saw that we were coming down to that area of support where there was lots and lots of volume. All of this right here. I know it's kind of hard to see because I have it grayed out. But this spot over here to the right, that's where we've come down to. So if this thing is going to bounce, this would be a good spot for it. Nice little bounce so far. All right, let's move back into zoom in a little bit. All right, so point of control moved a little bit lower since we had that consolidation zone. Getting back above point of control. We do have New York anchored VWAP up above us at 23,226. As of now, this is our initial balance low. We still have about 8 minutes left. Okay, George, I'm glad to hear that you're using the volume profile to mark levels. That's been a game changer for me. I used to kind of just try to eyeball it and like, look left and see like, where do I think there's a lot of support and a lot of resistance? But having the volume profile there just to like be able to see the data of where it is instead of relying on my own eyeballs, it's so helpful. All right, guys, I am actually considering a long here simply because we're at a huge area of support. The risk to reward is decent. I would put my stop loss right near the point of control and then kind of just be aggressive with trailing my stop. So 140.5 is my entry. I'll bring my trade onto the screen here. So if you guys saw the volume profile when I zoomed out, hopefully you saw why I'm considering a long here. I am in a long. I'm not a big fan of trying to catch a falling knife. There's a couple reasons that I'm in this long. We're at a major area of support. We based here a little bit. We had 3 5-minute candles that held, and then that one right there with lots of volume confirming it. And now this second 5-minute candle that's just, we have 13 seconds until it closes, but bullish engulfing 5-minute candle almost. And the fact that we established this point of control and we're above it. So we'll see if we get some continuation, but that's why I entered the long. Daddy says, what strategy should we use now? So at this point, the initial balance is being set in about 5 minutes. So those are good levels to trade off of. And then really just watching for a pullback to possibly enter a short. Honestly, this is hard to trade at this point. I'm going to be aggressive with trailing my stop once it gets a few more points into profit. I'm not expecting this to like retrace all this move. It might not even come up to VWAP, I'm not sure. We do have this session VWAP too. I just feel like that's asking a lot for it to come all the way back up to 300. There's decent volume behind this push so far though. The momentum is slowed a little bit. I don't love that. Travis longed the 5-minute hammer candle. Yep, that was definitely the sign of a retrace. Or I don't want to say reversal because I'm not saying that it's going to like be bullish the rest of the day. You had a zone from August 5th, so it's probably invalid? Not necessarily. I find that, so when I mark these gray shaded areas, the high volume nodes, I mean, you saw me, I moved out to like, I'll mark them off the 1 hour, the 4 hour. Sometimes I'll even move to the daily if I need to like zoom way out because maybe we're so high or so below where price action has been recently. And when you move to the higher time frames, those levels stay valid for a long time. Like that 23K level, that's been there for a long time. A lot of times I'll keep these shaded areas and then every couple of days I'll go in and make adjustments as needed. But they don't move a whole lot. Well, it's getting back below point of control. Not getting a whole lot of follow through on this move. We do have this kind of high volume node there. It could be pulling back to that. Let's see if we get a bounce. If this thing is actually establishing a base and we have a little bit of support here, it's about time for it to bounce. Point of control moving down though is a bad sign. All right, that stopped me out. And that is why you try not to catch a falling knife. All right, so at this point, who was it? Daddy, you were asking what if you don't know anything about the initial balance strategy? Well, if we can take a trade off the initial balance, I'll show you a few things. But I do have some videos on it, one in particular that kind of walks through it. If you're familiar with the 15-minute opening range strategy, in my opinion, it's very similar. But basically, you just have the high and the low of the first 60 minutes of the open. So that's why this is the initial balance low and the initial balance high is way up at the open. But two things, you can watch for it. A lot of times the range will hold. So you can watch for it to pull back to this initial balance low and possibly wick down, grab some liquidity, and then close back within the range and you can take a long off of it. or a short if it's the reverse at the initial balance high. Or you can also take a trend continuation trade. So if this thing is going to continue lower, it breaks outside of the range, it pulls back to retest the initial balance low and continues down, you can take a short off of it. That one, honestly, to me, seems like the less likely scenario, just because we've already had, in my opinion, most of the move, and we're at a big area of support. So I kind of think we might get a failed auction if there's going to be a trade set up there. We are very close to that 23K level that I was talking about. So there's the possibility for it to come down and like grab a little bit more support and then go up. So that's kind of what I would use the initial balance for. We'll see though. I've already tried this one long that didn't work out. And if we were to take a failed auction trade, that would be another long. And both of those are against the trend. So not always the best idea to do that. I wouldn't want a long straight from here because again, it's below point of control again. What I would prefer to see is have it come back down to retest the initial balance low and then get a strong bounce and closure above. I would consider longing off of that because then that would look like a double bottom if we had some volume behind that buy up. We shall see. The fact that it is kind of establishing a base here and that big downtrend looks like it's not continuing, that's a good sign that maybe the big move down is over. Could be wrong though. How much of a range do we have today? Initial balance high is up here, down to the low, 360 points, you guys. On a day where there's no news too. Crazy times. I wonder if we're going to see much more movement anymore, honestly, with the FOMC minutes coming out this afternoon. It could chop until then. Who knows? It's definitely establishing a little bit of a base here, though. Consolidation. All right, coming back down towards initial balance low. Let's see if we get a failed auction set up. If you guys haven't already, we got 30 people in here, 9 likes. Go hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. It does make a big difference. It helps the YouTube algorithm, helps spread the word, helps me grow my little baby channel. It's a free way to help me out. Oh man, I'd love to see it pull back to initial balance low before taking a long. Just chopping around this point of control. Yeah, I'm with you, Min. I don't really pay attention necessarily to what the news actually is. Like, I don't care what the CPI numbers are or like try to predict, like, if PPI is higher than they expected, then it's going to do this to the market. I don't get caught up in all that because it's so unpredictable, and half the time the reports are fibs anyway. Like, they just kind of make it say what they want it to say so they can lower rates or increase rates. Like, I don't buy into any of it. But I definitely pay attention to it in terms of reasons why the market might move today or might not move today. So I don't usually expect gigantic, like 360 point moves like this without something in the news. Surprised me a little bit today. Still just chopping around this point of control level. I don't love the idea of taking a long from here because my stop loss ideally would be at the initial balance low. Maybe I just need to get over the fact that we have big stop losses today just because the range is huge, and then just size down big time. But it would be better, in my opinion, if it came down to retest the IB low and we got confirmation with a high volume buy up off of it. That would be the better trade. So let's be patient. I stopped caring when bad news is good news and vice versa. Absolutely. That's why I stopped trying to predict, like, if PPI is better than expected, then this is going to happen. Because it's so, like, that doesn't make sense to me. That actually happened, what was it, last week or the week before? With, I think it was PPI. One of them, where, like, the initial move was bearish and then it ended up pumping up to almost all-time highs or something like that. Like, something just didn't make sense with the news. All right. Is the initial balance low going to hold? Or is this thing continuing lower? I definitely don't want to be the one that says that can't move lower. Not saying that, but we are at a big area of support. It's also a big range of an area. Like I was zooming out to the 4-hour time frame, and that range of support was like 200 points or something like that. So for tiny little scalps on the 2-minute or the 5-minute chart, it could still move down, that's for sure. I did come down to test the bottom of the range. Starting to get a little bit of a buy up. Let's see. I'll zoom out to the 5-minute. Still got 2.5 minutes until this candle closes. Let's see if we get a good bounce here. You've seen companies that missed earnings and they mooned? Yeah. So many of those reports and numbers and all that are fake news. Volume is definitely dying. So even if we do get a buy up off this level, I don't know how high it's going to go. Good, high likelihood that we're just going to chop until FOMC meeting minutes come out. This does not look like the type of buy up I would want for a failed auction trade. It's not bouncing. Unless something changes in the next 1 minute on this candle. Look at this. You can see the volume here dropping. This might be one of those days we don't take a trade. Let's see. It is holding that initial balance low. Want to see a little bit of momentum behind it. Get a little bit of volume. Really, just to be safe, since we're obviously going against the trend if we were to take a long here. holding initial balance low and then getting back above this point of control around 23,108-ish would be a safer bet. I'm going to be patient though, since I already took that one loss over there. This right here is a good example of why zooming out to the 5-minute chart has helped me a lot. Because if you look at the 1 minute, it looks like it's holding that level, and it looks like it might continue up. But the 5-minute, we never had a green candle close. So it definitely helps me stay patient and wait for better trades. Buying back up inside that initial balance. Let's see how this candle closes. Might get a little opportunity. Let's see. We definitely have some more volume behind this candle too. You can see we only have 2 minutes left, or we still have 2 minutes left, I should say. And this candle right here is already almost matching the other one in terms of volume. So to me, that means that we're getting a little bit of momentum at this level. We'll see if it holds. One minute left on this candle. Daddy, you hope every day could be like today? I don't know about that. I mean, it would have been good if I got in short on that first 2 minutes of the open. But today was not a good day if you're being patient and waiting for the first 15-minute range to be set. After that, there haven't been a whole lot of opportunities, in my opinion. So no, I don't love days like today. Well, it did not close within the range. So technically, a failed auction, by definition, is the 30-minute candle has to fall below the initial balance and then close back within. So on the 30-minute chart, we still have 9 minutes left for this candle to close above it. So there's still a chance, but at this point it's not looking good. The selling has slowed, so that's a plus. And we are at a giant area of support. That's a plus. We just don't know where the bottom is going to be yet. So it's definitely riskier to take a long. Better than a ranging day? Yeah. I kind of feel like the rest of today is going to be that, though. A little bit of chop. Waiting until FOMC meeting minutes. Fed Waller is speaking in 8 minutes. Not sure how much impact that's going to have on the market, if any. So if the 10:30 candle closes inside the 10 o'clock candle, that's a failed auction. I guess so. So I mark off the initial balance low line on like the 1 minute chart. So I mark it at basically the 929 candle or wherever the lowest was from 929 before. And then I use that line and then I zoom to the 30 minute. So yeah, I guess you can look at it that way too. If you look at the 10 o'clock Eastern candle and then the 10:30 Eastern candle closes back within it, yes, that's a failed auction. Assuming that it like wicks outside of it and then closes back inside. So yeah, like by definition, I guess, I don't know who made the definition, but like every person I've ever learned this strategy from, it's not officially a failed auction until the 30-minute candle closes outside the range and then, or like wicks outside of the range and then closes back within the range. The only problem with that though is oftentimes you can miss the move because it might come back up or down and retest the range on like the 2-minute chart or the 5-minute chart and then completely reverse from there or have the buy up or whatever. And so if you're waiting for that 30-minute closure, the move could have already happened. So a lot of times I'll anticipate it and look at the 5-minute or a lower time frame. Especially if there's some other confluences, that makes it even better. Like, let's say we were a whole bunch closer to that 23K level and we came down and like retested that level and had a really strong buy up. That would be good confluence for an initial balance filled auction. Or like one of my favorite setups is if there's outside liquidity, like let's say we didn't have this big dump and like the Asia low or something was right here and it came down and grabbed that Asia low liquidity and then closed back within the range. That would be like an A+ setup for me. It's a little harder on a day like today when it's just completely downtrend and there's not a whole lot of like a clear liquidity grab level, since I mean you'd have to scroll way back to find the last level. August 5th, we're kind of there. That little wick on August 5th. Let's see if this closes back within the range. We still have 3 minutes left until this candle closes for a possible failed auction. So if it gets back within that range, what the trade setup would potentially look like is enter somewhere up here, put the wick or the stop loss below that wick, and then who knows. This is such a wide range that, I mean, normally my target would be like VWAP or the halfway point of the range or something like that. But this range is so big that even just targeting VWAP, that's a 113 point move. That's insane. I mean, we could target point of control and still get 30 points. But none of that matters because it's not bouncing. Maverick, I'm going to walk away from the chart, and when I get back, I expect to see a perfect entry come. Oh, come and gone and you missed it? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've definitely had that happen before, where you like sit and stare at the charts for 2 hours and you're patient and there's no setup, and then as soon as you leave, some key level gets hit or some great setup happens. Cheechamus 22,894 would fill an RTH gap. That's still a whole lot lower. Another couple hundred points, yeah? Yeah, I don't know about that. 159 points, 160 points lower. After already moving 350 points or whatever we've done. It totally could happen, but just thinking that, I mean, so much has happened already, and then the move is slowing, like the volume is low, unless something crazy happens with FOMC meeting minutes being released, and there's something unexpected there, and that causes the market to crash. But just with the volume lowering, I don't know. Don't see it being likely. All right, getting back within the range. I am entering along at 57.5 was my entry. Let's see, you guys. If I'm wrong, I'm done. Because I've already... Honestly, same mistake that I made yesterday, trying to catch a falling knife. Why do I do that? Being totally transparent with you guys. Took a couple losses yesterday, trying to think I was a smarty pants, and I had the ultimate bottom picked out. So dumb. At least I learned my lesson and stopped before I blew my account. Ah, good times. So 57.5 is where I entered. Stop loss gonna go below that wick there. So I'm not saying that this is the bottom and it's gonna like have an ultimate V bottom recovery, but if it starts to make some higher highs, there's a potential for adding to this position, just because there is so much room to go higher. Like I said, even if we just come to this anchored VWAP, that's 117 points. Value area high from the session here, that's 159 points. And then if we come all the way back to VWAP, that's 200 points. So I'm not expecting that. Like, that's not what I'm saying I'm targeting. But if we get some volume behind this, there's a lot of room to possibly retrace. So for now, let's see if we get back to VWAP at 179. Initial balance low is sitting right here at 2364. Still kind of chopping around it. If we do start to get some volume behind this and it reclaims point of control at 23,100, I'll possibly see if there's an opportunity to add. As long as I can move my stop loss with it and keep my risk either low or zero. Hey, Be Frosty. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, today has been super tough. If you didn't enter within the first 2 minutes of the open, literally, there really hasn't been any good pullback opportunities. Right now, trying a long. I tried a long earlier. Second long, I know, dumb, way against the trend. This one's a failed auction. Failed auction setup, that's the trade strategy. We've entered the give back profits hour. Calling it a day. Bye, Teacher Miss. Have a good one. We do have, who is it, Waller? Yeah, Fed Waller is speaking right now. Let me put the session volume profile on this one so I don't need to keep flipping back and forth. Coming up to point of control right now. So that's what I'm talking about, where if we like reclaim that and maybe retest it and we have a clear spot where we can put our stop loss, we can add. Don't like those blue and yellows. That's better. All right, so we got above point of control, so I'm going to add to my position. Risk is still within the 200 range that I like to stay in. So now that we're getting some momentum behind this move, I'm actually going to scale out a little bit. Since, like I was saying before, we have New York anchored VWAP, value area high, we could potentially go all the way up to VWAP. So 256 would be like the ultimate crazy target. So New York VWAP is right here at 174. So I'll scale off a little bit there. Take off a couple at value area high. And we'll see how far this thing goes. Definitely going to trail into profit at this point. Be Frosty, task accomplished for the day. Hit the like button. Yeah, buddy. So we got above point of control, which is a good sign. That's where this high volume node is right there. Broke above that. I could see us possibly coming back down to retest it before continuing higher. But there's definitely some momentum behind this for now. Yeah, this is NQ, MNQ specifically. I'm going to move my stop up a little bit just so you guys can see how I typically trail this stuff. I want to give it room because it could come back to point of control and then continue higher. But I'm also trading against the trend, which I'm very aware of. So I want to at least lock in some profits. So it could potentially come down to point of control, and then this low volume node, sometimes it'll like wick down into that and then go higher. So I'll give it a little bit of room to come into this low volume area. But that's about it. I don't want to give it too much room. Once we break this high right here, I'll definitely trail some more. Definitely moving up, getting some momentum. Finally decided to find a bottom for now. Yeah, David, that's why I'm being aggressive with trailing my stop loss is like as soon as I felt like it moved away from my entry, I moved my stop loss into profit because I'm going against the trend. And here in a bit, like I said, if it breaks this high, I'll move my stop loss to at least point of control, if not higher. Because I don't know how high, if at all, it's going to go up. Shez asked, is this one of your funded accounts? No, it's actually not. Thanks for asking. I'm always willing to be transparent with you guys. So my top one futures account, remember yesterday I requested a payout on stream with you. They're apparently having an issue with Rise, and it's not a top one futures issue, it's a Rise like connection issue. So I haven't received my payout with them yet, so I can't trade my top one futures accounts until that's done. So that's annoying. My TradeDay accounts, I actually just need to flip those for 2 more days. I'm already like at my profit goal. I just need to, I have to trade a minimum of 7 days. So I just took a one micro trade last night just to log a trade and then locked those out. Tradeify, I took a loss last night and locked myself out of those. So finishing red on Tradeify. So these are my Lucid challenge accounts. These are actually the ones that I posted in the Discord yesterday that I finished down 700. So working on that one. David, close it. I think it'll go bearish again. What? I'm not closing this thing. I'm in it to win it, baby. No, I think so. I could potentially scale out a little bit bigger at VWAP because I'm only taking off 2 out of 8, and that could be the spot where it pulls back. But I think there's a good chance it'll at least get to that New York anchored VWAP spot. Still continuing higher. Let's go. Oh, I'm still on the 2-minute. The 5-minute would probably even look better. Probably lots of green. We haven't been seeing much green today. So that's a nice change of pace. David, is trading your full-time job making all the money you need? Not quite yet. That is the goal. So, again, I'm an open book. I'm always willing to share everything. My husband and I sold our gym in February of this year, so about 6 months ago. So we had a decent chunk of change saved up to kind of live off of. And then my husband actually got a job, so he has income that helps. But I still need to make money too, so it's not, he doesn't make enough to like pay all of our bills. My trading has helped. I've taken about, let me do the math in my head, 35,000 in payouts this year. But we've still had to live off of our savings a little bit. I'm getting there though. Like I feel like I'm right there. Gotten so much more consistent. Sticking with my rules. Like I've put together the best 2 weeks of trading I've had with my most recent payout. And I'm on track with another prop firm to get another payout next week. So definitely seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But no, I'm not to the point where I'm making all the money I need yet. Travis, my initial risk was 200. That's my goal. I think it was $215 or something like that. All right, so I'm going to move my stop loss at least to point of control at this point. I initially entered right around here at like 23.64. Actually, I think it's on here because I didn't change my average. 23.60 is where I initially entered, anticipating the failed auction. And then I added to the position once we passed point of control. That's why my average was a little bit higher. But down here, I entered with 5 contracts. My stop loss was down here. You can see this risk to reward tool shows I should have entered with 3.7. So I was a little oversized. Maybe $250 was my initial risk. And then when I added to the position at point of control, I moved my stop loss up and kept my risk right around the same. So yeah, good risk to reward. And that's, honestly, that's a thing that people have to play with. Risk to reward versus win-loss rate. I don't have the best win-loss rate. Like, it ranges between, honestly, on one of my accounts right now, I'm at like 48%. And that's pretty low for me. Usually my overall win percentage is like 55 to 65%. 63% I think is kind of the high range. So not a great win rate, but when I win, they're big. Like this one right here, even if I fully got out of my position, that's a 1 to 4.5 risk to reward. But I'm going to keep holding this thing to potentially VWAP. If it makes it up there, that's a 1 to 7 risk to reward. So that's my trading style. I'm okay with taking a few more losses and then making it up on the big ones, as long as you can keep your risk to reward or your risk managed. Do people in the US make real money out of trading? I'm watching a lot of social media and think it's crap. Yes. So I 100% agree with a lot of the social media being crap. I didn't really like own it and believe it until I went to a trading boot camp at the end of April, beginning of May this year. So a couple months ago, where I actually met real people that were making like realistic money. Because I kind of had the same thought. On social media, you see these people that are making like $80,000 a month and driving Lamborghinis and like have their whole closet full of Rolexes and just like ridiculous stuff that, for one, is hard to believe, but also, in my opinion, not motivating. Like, that's not what I want. I don't want to be driving around with these crazy sports cars and like just flashing money and flying first class everywhere. And like, if that's your thing, go for it. But it's not mine. So when I went to this boot camp and I saw just regular people pulling, $10,000 a month consistently every month out of the market, I was like, oh, this is actually realistic. Like, I just want to make a decent, like, 6-figure a year income, but have the time freedom with it. Like, if I can honestly pull out $10,000 a month from the market, more would be great, but $10,000 every single month, doing that, working 2 hours a day, and basically have the schedule of a stay-at-home mom where I can be the one who like coaches my kids soccer and picks them up from school every day and goes and volunteers at the school whenever I want to and goes on field trips. That's my dream right there, is just like realistic money with the time freedom. So long story short, like to answer your question, Cheechmas, who was it? David was asking. Yes, it is possible, and I didn't really believe it until I saw it at the boot camp, like real people, and actually met them and shook their hands. All right, gonna scale out again at 250, which is where VWAP is. And then since we have some momentum behind this, I'm gonna leave a runner. Yeah, 10K is what I saw. I mean, there's a wide range. But that, I think, was a number that stuck in my head because that's a decent amount of money. Obviously, you have outliers. Like, there were also people at that boot camp that were making a whole lot more, and then there were people making less. But that was kind of the average. But dude, that's great money. Because if you think about it, trading is, you don't want to be sitting in front of your computer for 8 hours a day. You probably shouldn't be trading every single session. So if you just take a couple good trades in one session, 2 hours, and you make that kind of money, not a bad situation to be in. All right, so it's breaking above that value area high, which is why I had my next target there. This target up here is at the session VWAP. So we'll see if it ends up grabbing that. And then, like I said, I have a runner left. We have a lot of room if it's going to retrace a big part of this move. We really don't have much resistance until this overnight support at like 330-ish. So that could potentially be the ultimate target if it gets there. But once it gets to VWAP, I'm actually going to trail my stop quite a bit tighter, because I could see VWAP being this spot that it pulls back. There's a bunch of people that make tons of money who aren't even good traders. They just make the most of their money from affiliate links and prop firms. Mic drop, 100%. I would say most of the people on YouTube that have, a couple 100,000 followers, most of their money comes from affiliate fees, affiliate commissions. Yep. That's why, honestly, obviously I would love for you to use my link. I have them up there. I have Tradeify, Top One, Lucid, and TradeDay. Those are the 4 that I personally trade with, so I'm not just a discount code person trying to get all of them. Those are prop firms that I actually use, and I like their rules and stuff. So obviously I would love for you to use my link. But if you don't use mine, use some other small YouTubers' affiliate links. Don't use Tori Trades or Tanya or PW or any of those people. PW said that he makes $1 million a month off of affiliate commissions. So that man does not need you to use his code. It's insane how much money they make off of it. So yeah, if you guys are up for supporting me and my dream of being a full-time trader and making a little bit of money every month, I would love it if you would use my code. I'd appreciate it. Because I'm not making $1 million a month off of affiliate commissions. I can tell you that for sure. MHD, you're asking what bootcamp this was. It was through ASFX. If you're familiar with them, if you're not, go follow their YouTube. They have good content. They have a podcast every Saturday that's usually good. They interview successful traders on their strategy and different stuff. But ASFX, they put on a boot camp once a year, I think, maybe twice a year. So I heard about it through them. I don't know when their next one is or if they're having another one. I'm not sure. If it gets over VWAP, are you looking for a V shape? Well, it kind of would be. It already is. But yeah, that's why I've been trailing out aggressively. I took one out at New York anchor VWAP. I took another one at value area high. And then I have another target at VWAP. And then I'll just leave a runner. Because if it does break above VWAP, there's not a whole lot of resistance until, like I said, 330-ish. Kind of slowing down here. We'll see if it actually makes it all the way up to VWAP. Might be a good idea to lower this target a little bit because I think VWAP has moved since I placed it. It might be lower. 247-ish might be a better spot. 245. So that at least it'll grab it if it rejects at that spot. And then really at that point, the runner that I'm going to leave is going to be to fill the fair value gap on the higher time frame. So if I zoom out to, let's see, 4 hours, it would be like here, 340-ish. Let's see if it grabs it. Now we're just gonna see where this bad boy takes us. Now that we're just getting a ridiculous pullback, might as well just leave a runner. Jeez. Sell another one at that gap fill, or not gap, the fair value gap. This is an insane recovery, guys. Like, I know that that level that we bounced off of was a high volume level, but I did not expect it to retrace the entire move. All right, we are still at VWAP. Let's see if this continues or not. I'm gonna trail my stop loss to this New York anchored VWAP, just so that if it does get a pullback, we can at least lock some in, lock the rest of it in. So 169-ish is where I'll put it. We're starting to break through VWAP though. No signs of it pulling back yet. It's still right there though. Like, it could reject. Still going. If we get to a point where we see quite a bit of selling pressure here, I'll just close the rest of the trade out. But so far, it doesn't look like it wants to. Volume is slowing though. We do have, what time is FOMC meeting minutes again? 2 o'clock Eastern. Still a couple hours away. This whole pump was happening while Fed Waller was speaking. I didn't see him say anything that would make the market move like that though. So we are pulling back a little bit at VWAP. That's kind of the spot I was expecting it to. That's why I'm giving it a little bit of room, because it could pull back and then continue higher. We'll see. I already took off most of the position. G-Man, what's up? Good morning. What time is it there in Hawaii? It's early for you, isn't it? Like 5 a.m. or something like that? Yeah, 5:30 in the morning. Jeez, you're up early. I guess if your body's still on Eastern time, then it's like lunchtime now. You're like, it's 11:30. I'm ready for lunch. Yeah. I can imagine that 7 days in Hawaii would kind of mess with your circadian rhythm a little bit. Because you're going to be messed up for like 2 days. And then once you finally get used to it, it's going to be time to get on an airplane and go back. All right, higher time frame. Only have two baby contracts left on this after I've scaled out. So taking off one at this resistance here, which is also a 4-hour fair value gap. And then just kind of leaving a one, like, what the heck, why not type of runner. And see how far this baby goes. What do we have? Like Asia high and London high, all those. Initial balance high is at 430. Asia high, so like the high of the day is at 488. What do you think? Are we going to 488 today? Oh man, this is quite the move back up, you guys. Look at that recovery so far on the 1-hour time frame. We still obviously have 20 minutes left until this candle closes, so a lot can change before then. But that has been quite a bounce. Still fighting with that VWAP area. Not able to break and hold above it. It's kind of interesting that we're getting this big of a move and volume is not that great. So I wouldn't be surprised if this move ends sometime soon. G-Man, are you planning on taking any trades today? Or are you just stopping by to say hi? Hopefully you have some fun stuff on the agenda and you're not going to trade. I guess the fun things on your agenda wouldn't be starting at 5:30 in the morning though. So you still have time. Good. Taking time away from trading. Good for you. Well, this is definitely slowing down. Still chopping around VWAP. It looks like it's trying to break through. It's trying. Ooh, wife is gonna surf. That's fun. Has she ever gone surfing before? I tried it once when I went with my family to Nicaragua. It was fun. The waves were pretty small. It was a slow day. So there wasn't a whole lot of like oomph to actually push me on the wave. So it was hard to stand up because of that. Um, I grew up in California though, and I would go to the beach several times a week, but I always bodyboarded. I never got into surfing, but I skateboarded everywhere. So I caught on to surfing pretty well. Like I was able to get up on my first wave. I would get up and then the board would like sink because the waves weren't big enough to carry me. My daughter though, my 7-year-old daughter killed it because she's super athletic. So she caught on quickly, and then her being little, the waves were able to carry her. So yeah, surfing is fun. Well, you guys, this isn't super exciting anymore. At this point, I'm just gonna see how this plays out. I do have one more target up here at the gap, like fair value gap closure, I guess, or top of the fair value gap on the 4-hour time frame. And then I have just a crazy, like, what the heck runner up here. I'll probably put it at initial balance high, honestly, because that's a little more realistic. But I don't want to make you guys sit through this chop since we've kind of been ranging in a 20-point range for the last 15, 20 minutes. It's not really going anywhere. But if you haven't already, if you're not in the Discord, hop in the Discord. I do have the link in the chat. It's on that pinned comment that I put on there. So join the Discord. I'll update you guys on how this position goes. And then hit that subscribe button so you can get notifications for when I go live, because I do go live every day, most days. I won't be this Friday. I'm actually doing a CrossFit competition with my husband this weekend. It's a Friday and Saturday 2-day event. So if you guys are interested in following along on that, follow me on Instagram. I'll probably get tagged in a bunch of photos and stuff there. So I have my Instagram on the screen up there, but it's at fitmom_trader. You guys can come follow along there and watch us get beat by a whole bunch of young kids. We're going to College Station, which is in Texas. That's where I live. So it's right in a college town. There's a whole bunch of like 20 to 25-year-olds that we're going to be competing against. We're going to get our butts kicked. It's 4 workouts over a 2-day period. So the worst part of it is just the recovery. Like now that we're older, our recovery is so much slower compared to a 20 to 25-year-old. Like, it's not that we're not fit, but the recovery is really hard. So we're going to be hurting. I might still be hurting on Monday when I come live with you guys again. I'll be moving slowly. It'll be fun though. We like doing crazy stuff like that. All right, guys, hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already, and then hopefully I'll see you guys in Discord, and I'll update you guys on how this position goes. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.